Anne from Curious Moon Design. Well, when I come into the craft room, I have to decide whether I'm in a paper crafting mood or a sewing mood, because I love both. Today, I'm in a sewing mood. You've already seen this needlebook that I've shown you recently, which is more a modern version. But what I want to do today is make one of my more traditional needlebooks. So making it up as I go along with different fabrics. And I thought I would do a 4-part so that you can sew along with me, and we'll take it in just different stages. Hopefully I'll get it so that the videos come out one after the other, but that remains to be seen. So what do I do firstly? First I choose something for a cover. This one was made up of lots of different pieces of fabric. And I go to my stash and I see what I can find. So I come up with all these fabrics. And this is a more modern style. And I've cut them into the pieces that I want to use. It's a lovely floral one there, which I thought would go nicely with that, with colours. This is a beautiful fabric that my friend Marilyn bought me, and I've still got plenty to use, so I'm going to make one from that. And I thought with the colours, those would go together nicely. The contrast of huge flowers and tiny little rosebuds. And then I cut another one of those out, and I'm going to put some stripy backing on that one. So that's the first thing to do, is to choose your cover fabric. The other one I've got is a plain piece of quite thick linen, and it needs an iron first, which I'll do. So I thought I could put a nice image on the front. And I found this in my stash. It's a lovely Liberty print. This was on the back. It's Liberty Art Fabrics. I think it's sort of curtain fabric. It's just a swatch. So what I'm intending to do with this one is to sew this on and then cut the fabric so that I can have that as the centerpiece of the needlebook on the front. So that's what I'm going to do for the moment. I'm going to go and iron this cloth, sew this on here, and then cut the size I want for my needlebook. This one's going to be quite a big one because I'm trying to incorporate this lovely image. I don't want to cut it up. These I don't have to. I've got lovely floral pattern there. I don't really need to put anything on the front there apart from a closure. So we'll come to that later. I'm going to go away and sew that together. And this is just to show you an example of how you can go through your stash and put things together for a cover for your needlebook. As you know, I make small ones too, so it doesn't have to be this large, but this is what my project's going to be this time. So, you know, you can cut your cloth to the size you want, but the structure will be mainly the same, how we make it up. Okay, well, I'll be back. Okay, well, I've sewn this lovely fabric onto this linen, just straight stitch all the way around. I mean, you could glue it if you don't want to sew. So you could glue everything through, you know, or just hand stitch. I could have left an opening for a pocket or a side pocket, but I've just decided to enjoy the image as it is. I found another piece of fabric that I liked for the back, and I've stitched that on, and all I did was pin it and just stitched around. Now I found a lining for this one, and I've gone ahead and made some alterations to that, but I'm going to show you that at the very end because this one's a little bit less straightforward than the standard ones I make. So I'm going to show you how I make them up using this fabric. As you saw before, I've cut it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn in this edge at the top and bottom, and I'll pin it. And if you've got a nice edge that doesn't fray, you don't have to turn that edge in, but I always turn the cover edge in. And again, you could glue this. And the same for the bottom edge. I'll turn that in. Along with that. And then stitch along there. And then I'll do exactly the same for the sides. But before I get to that stage, you've got to decide whether you want a pocket in between the lining and the front cover. If you do want to have a pocket, then all you would do is stitch along this edge and that edge, just to neaten it, or as I say, glue it. And then when you turn this edge up, and stitch along, you have your pocket in there with the top one stitched. So I hope that's clear for you, so you can either stitch it all up if you want to do with your first one, or as I say, make a pocket either side, and you can put fabric and all sorts of things in it. Now, there's one step before you get to that stage though. What I tend to do is I stitch the top down so that I know my lining is in place. And then before I do any other stitching, so this will be, I'll put a pin in it. Before I do any other stitching, I decide what I want on the inside, whether I want little pockets, pieces of felt. If I show you on this smaller one, so this one has got a pocket here and layered felt. I don't put all the buttons and pins on, but you have to think ahead and put those on first before you stitch these together, because obviously if you stitch these together, you want to put a pocket on, the stitching is going to show on the outside. So first thing to do is to anchor your top edge, and then you know where your bottom edge is going to be, and you can work out where you want to put your pockets or your felt for your pins. So I'm going to go away and sew that across there. When I've done that, I'll come back and show you. Well, I've sewn a few of these together. So I've just sewn the top along the top and stitched the fabric together. So this will be the lining, and that's the cover. Got this lovely mid-century modern fabric. I've stitched along the top there with that lining, and then this one again just along the top. I've left a little bit of a gap, so I'm not sure whether to make a pocket in the cover or not. I'm undecided, so I've just stitched to about an inch from the end on either side, so I've got room to turn that in if I want to. But now what I'm going to do is work on what we're going to put on here. So in the next video I'm going to go through layering up the various pieces that go on the pages. So do join me for that one, and we'll build this together. So gather some fabrics together and I'll see you next time. Bye for now, everyone.